When you give feedback, it's important to think about why you're giving it, when you give it, and how you give it. It's also important to think about the type of feedback you're giving. Is it positive or negative? The answers to these questions lie in whether you want to focus on accuracy or fluency of language production. In this video, we will take a closer look at why teachers are giving feedback, when they give feedback, how they're giving feedback, and the type of feedback they give.
When they are given the floor for the overall production, well, they spoke, but there were some mistakes. You can notice that I did not correct my students on the spot. And generally after the lesson, when they finish writing the lesson or in another session, we give feedback. Okay, because sometimes giving feedback straight away does not motivate them to speak and produce. So there were some mistakes, but I encouraged them. And later, we come back on the mistakes. Well, you should have said this. You said this is true, I encourage you, but it was not really good. Okay, this is what you should have said it. Okay.
We saw that in those pictures. Mishireng left ET so he went in another school. Who can be maybe Beolive or something else. He went to another school for some reasons. You can say maybe the parents were affected in another region, was transferred to another region. So that's why he left ET to another school. Or maybe the parents were not having a lot of money because they were renting. Okay. So they were supposed to go maybe in their
Let's clarify something. You begin with hello. Happy to meet you.
Hello, happy to meet you.
It's a pleasure to meet you too.
Okay. Since how many times are you there in this school?
How many
time are you there in this school?
How many times
Are you there in this school?
How many times? So how long or how many times?
How long? Yes, or how long?
How long have you
there in this school?
Have you
In this school.
been?
Okay. How long have you been in this school?
Just after primary school, my parents decided that
Where? I want somebody to use where.
Where are you?
Where can it?
Where are we seeing this one?
Very good. Where can we see? What is this generally? What is this? Is it what do we call this generally? Yes. Very good. So now repeat your answer repeat your question about this picture. Where can we? Go ahead.
Where are you?
Any other question from the picture? Now use a plural. They. Who are? Again.
Who are they?
Clap for her.
Well done.
Yes, Yao.
My sister Patricia, the complexion is not the obligation. Your skin black is beautiful because the dark complexion is risked by person of skin black.
Ah, good. Clap for him.
We have seen some teachers focus on fluency. They do not correct immediately. Other teachers focus on accuracy and correct immediately. Now we're going to look at different ways teachers give feedback when focusing on accuracy.
What have you been doing there?
Is it correct? Yes. Is it correct? Yes. Your brothers and sisters to ask so many questions.
Ask.
Silver's group. I saw your hand. Yes. Your brothers and sisters has been. Is it has?
Okay, so put question to him.
What is the number 4?
Number 4 is a spreader.
A
spreader.
Is it correct? No. Who wants to help him? Number 4 is Number 4 is scanner. Yes. Number 4 is a printer. Can you correct? Yes. Number 4 is printer. Repeat. Printer. Good.
We've seen teachers asking their students to give each other feedback. This is called teacher-directed peer feedback. This is one way teachers get involved in giving feedback. It engages students in the lesson, helps them to notice errors in their own language production, and if done correctly, can be a lot of fun. Students feel a great sense of achievement when they can spot errors and correct them. Let's look at other teacher-directed feedback techniques.
Hello, happy to meet you.
It's a pleasure to meet you too.
Okay. Sense, how many times are you there in this school?
How many?
Time are you there in this school?
How many times?
Are you there in this school?
How many times? So how long or how many times?
How long?
Yes. Now use a plural. They. Who are? Again? Clap for her. Where? Where can it?
Where are we seeing this one?
Very good. Where can we see? What is this generally? What is this? Is it, what do we call this generally? Yes? Very good. So now repeat your answer repeat your question about this picture. Where can this lady is the Queen of England. So who can ask the question about her? Yes. Who? Use a pronoun. That's very good. Who is that? But I want you to use the correct pronoun for a lady, for a woman. Clap for her.
As well as teacher-led peer feedback, student-led peer feedback can be very useful for motivating students. Let's watch the video to find some different ways that students can give each other feedback.
This flip. And what else? What about the number 8? This is number 8. Let's come to read number 8. providing poor, bad salary. Bad, poor. So look at the word here. Which one? Low paid? Low, is it good or bad? Low, is low bad or good? Low.
It is over. Non, ne ramasse pas. Les pose dans leur truc. It is over.
Excuse me. Give me your sheet. I want to give you her name.
As we have seen in teacher-led feedback and student-led feedback, it's very important to keep students engaged in the process of giving feedback. One way to motivate students is using positive reinforcement. There are many ways to give positive feedback other than saying good. Think about other ways you could give positive feedback in your class. Watch the video to see different ways of giving positive feedback to students.
Are you sure? Everything should be coherent. So think about it. Law, is law bad or good? Law. Is it bad or good?
No. It is good.
So if you have low mark, it is good. 2 out of 20 is low. Is it good?
No.
So it is bad, right?
Yes.
Bad is also poor.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So this 8 can be, say, providing poor, bad salary. So we can use all these words.
Yes.
Okay? Good. Senior, beyond. Can you see this word on the list that I gave you? No. This word is not on the list. So be careful.
Number 3. For you, who thinks that it is number 3? Raise your hands. Okay, hands down. Number 2 answers. And number 1, only 3%. Okay, and the majority have one number 3. And number 3 is the best answer. Now, work with your neighbor to reach an agreement on the different answers. Yeah? Yes. Good. And I want you interacting. Okay? I'm used to telling you that in this classroom you are not rivals. You are here to communicate.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
As teachers, we have all had classes where students do not or cannot correctly answer the questions we ask. Sometimes we're not sure whether this is a student issue or a teacher issue. Reflecting on how an activity is going while it is happening can help you when you're giving feedback. It can be clear that the activity is too difficult for the students. When this happens, we have to take care when giving feedback. Student confidence is quite sensitive. If the feedback is too corrective or negative, it can affect student motivation. Think about a class which you have taught where this happened. Let's see how Jules handles sensitive situations. Are the ideas the same as yours, or are they different?
Yes, give me the answers. They are found. Yeah. Soro?
Number 3. Beyond ones means probably very expensive.
Yes.
It's less privileged.
Do you agree?
No.
Yes, you have another suggestion?
Beyond what one means prohibitively expensive is pharmaceutical companies.
Wow. Yes, delegates?
Beyond one's means
prohibitively expensive.
So-called.
Okay, a last person to give me the last group. Yes, miss?
One's meant prohibitively expensive windowy.
No, it might have been, the problem might have been me, myself. Probably the difficulty was the definition I gave became more difficult than the word to be looked at for. So this is what I say is going to be addressed next time.
So is there any way maybe you will organize this lesson differently if you have to teach it again?
Yeah, you know, there are so many ideas whenever you need to teach. Probably this aspect of the lesson will be changed in another activity. Okay, it could have been a multiple choice question. This will probably help the student to discover the answers easily.
We've just considered ways that we can reflect on how an activity is going and manage the type of feedback we give. As teachers, we all want the best for our students. When students produce answers in class to your questions, you want it to be correct so that other students will have accurate language models. Trying to get students to produce correct language in answer to your questions may challenge them, so we need to think about how best to do this. It's important not to overcorrect, because this may have a negative impact on student motivation and confidence. We need to balance challenging the student and encouraging the student. This means watching carefully how the student is reacting and giving positive feedback for their efforts, even if the answer is not correct. Let's look at how Elsie and Anastine do this.
Just a minute.
You want to talk about ask questions.
Very good. Again, say it again.
We want to talk about ask questions.
We want to talk about asking questions. There you are.
The last picture is the church.
Very good. What is another name for that kind of big building like that? Yes? And now it is a cathedral. Everybody say a cathedral. Cathedral. Ask a question. Ask a question about the action of the Queen of England. Look at it. It's there. Ask a question. Please come in. Ask a question. I want somebody to ask a question about the action on that picture. Yes, try.
The Queen.
Ask a question using a WH word and the action.
Where is she?
Very good. That is the location. Where is the location? She's in England. Very good. But I want the action. Look at her. She's doing something. Yes?
What have you you doing?
What?
Have been.
What?
Have.
Correct?
After deciding on when to give feedback, think of the different alternative techniques you've seen in the video. Make sure your language is accurate if you're focusing on accuracy. Also make sure that you're giving lots of positive feedback to build the students' confidence to try out new language with your and the other students' support. Correcting students while they're talking stops them from talking. If you do interrupt a student, always give them another chance to say what they wanted to say. Encourage and support students by helping them to produce accurate language. Remember, the purpose of feedback is to help your students to produce more and better quality language. Enjoy trying out these techniques with your students.